Hello, Steve Earle.
Yeah.
Hello, good to speak to you. My name's Les and I run a website in Melbourne called Unpaved, which is dedicated to country folk music. And
Cool.
before getting right into the interview, I have to basically be honest and disclose to you that you're sort of the songwriter, I guess, that has most inspired me, and if it weren't for you, I doubt very much that I would be writing music and performing, and I doubt that the website itself would exist. So,
well, that's flattering. Thank you.
And it was your song in particular, John Walker's Blues, that brought you back to my attention. And, just to be upfront about things, my own personal experience is that my brother was in Afghanistan prior to 9/11. He was one of the first Australians charged under anti-terrorism laws.
Oh, really?
And eventually he was acquitted, but it took about 8 years for that to go through. But your song, really gave me a great deal of strength, and I guess it renewed my faith in the idea that music can have power in the world. So I thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I at the time that I wrote it, my reasons for writing it were mainly two things. I had a 20-year-old son. I had a son exactly the same age as John Lind.
Yes.
And I saw, a 20-year-old kid duct taped to a board, that didn't look that much different than my kid. And big, tall, skinny kid. And, and the first thing I thought was, God, he's got parents.
Absolutely.
And they're seeing this too.
Yep.
And they've got to be sick. And, so that was the deal. And it was just simply, I knew that nobody else was going to write that song. And it just, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, but every once in a while something falls to you and you know that you're supposed to do it because either nobody else will or, I'm pretty good at writing stuff like that, at writing projects, stuff that, aimed at a specific thing. I've just been doing it long enough. I can do it. And if you can do it and the opportunity presents itself, then it's sort of irresponsible not to, the way I look at it. So that's really all there was to it.
Well, it's great that you have that outlook because, the way that we see it from Australia and just looking at the political climate of the time, I'm really grateful that somebody had the courage to look at things from that perspective. So it was amazing for me. So is that young John Henry that I can hear in the background there?
Yeah, he's running around, Liz. It's about, 6:45 in the evening here, so he just got out of the bathtub, which usually means he kind of runs up and down the hallway like a wild Indian for a while after he gets out of the tub. I don't know why. It's just what he does. We're home. We just did a residency at a nightclub here in New York City for, on Monday nights for a month, and I've been running out and doing dates close to New York, and that's about it, and not really going much of anywhere. I'm going to the Grammys this weekend.
Right.
And but John Henry and Allison are going to stay here for that just because not worth dragging him all the way across the country for, and I'm just going to go out for a couple of days and do that. And and then the next big trip of any length is Australia in April or into March, actually.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to that, and I've been absolutely loving the sound and the songs of Never Get Out of This World Alive. You worked with T-Bone Burnett on that album. Can you maybe just talk a little bit about that experience and what you were looking for in getting your sounds and messages on that album together?
Well, I really left what it sounded like to T-Bone, which was sort of the point. I really wanted to concentrate on the songwriting, and I just didn't want to, I wanted to kind of push the poetics as hard as I could, so I wanted to write and rewrite right up until I committed stuff to the actual recording. And I think I accomplished what I wanted to artistically on the songs. I'm really, really proud of these songs. I think they're, sometimes, I think some of my stuff has been, even some of my best stuff has been underwritten to the extent that I'm good at meeting deadlines and I like my job. I like to make records. Sometimes I'm writing in a specific thing, and I've made a couple of very political records that were time sensitive, and I was trying to get them out.
Yep.
But I just didn't want to feel rushed. I wanted to make sure that I'd gone through and sort of tuned every single line in this stuff. So to do that,
yep.
I just wanted for a change not to worry about the logistics of it or
yep.
what microphone was going to be used.
A great person. Yeah.
We recorded it very quickly. It was recorded, well, this city was recorded on a separate session before the other sessions because it had to be ready for the last episode of the first season of Treme.
Yep.
So, but T-Bone came into New Orleans and met me there. We hired, Alan Toussaint wrote the horn chart, and we used New Orleans players, and
yep.
Then, like that was in May, and then the following November, we convened in L.A. and we made the record. It was 4 days.
That's incredible. And I guess it would have been a great feeling to be able to put your faith in somebody like T-Bone Burnett.
Oh, absolutely. Because I hadn't made a record, this way with a live band in a couple of outings. Towns was pretty much me and guitar and vocal, stuff that I added instruments to myself. And Washington Square was me and John King, who's, was half of the Dust Brothers. And it was it was arrived at by very much, folky kind of instruments. I played I think I touched one electric guitar in the whole process, and there's a lot of me on that record. I played almost everything on that record, but it was just arrived at over beats, so it was more of a solitary process, both of those records, and it was fun to just go in with a bunch of players that could really play, and this T-Bone's band, the guys he's been using on the last few records, it was really inspired mainly by watching Robert Plant and Alison Krauss play at this festival, Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, that I do every year. And I was watching T-Bone play guitar with that band, and I knew most of the people in the band. Buddy Miller was in the touring version of that band, and Jay Bellerose played drums, obviously, and Dennis Crouch, the bass player, they're the rhythm section of I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive.
Yep.
And they, actually Dennis, T-Bone found Dennis, saw him for the first time playing in my bluegrass band at Hardly Strictly one year, and he's been T-Bone's bass player of choice ever since. He's a great doghouse bass player. Really,
fantastic.
Really good.